This isn't an ad or anything. These are just pens I bought for myself and resack. This is a Wahl Skyline, Ever Sharp, maroon, lever filler. I'm sure everyone knows what these are who's into fountain pens. I like fountain pens, but compared to razors, I know like breadcrumbs compared to what I know about razors. The only thing is I do know enough about how to fix these things. Anyway, it's a really nice thing. When I got this pen, it was generally in really nice condition, especially for the price I paid. Problem, when I took it apart, it had no breather tube. And we know these pens have horrible ink capacity when they don't have their breather tubes in them. And when I had to order a new sack, I ordered a new breather tube from Anderson. They have what they advertise as the Teflon breather tube for one of these. When it comes, it kind of looks like very nice people, by the way, very quick shipping. And in that respect, I recommend. But I've ordered a lot of sacks from them over the years at this point. But anyway, I get this breather tube in. It kind of looks like the ink reservoir in a ballpoint pen. If you know what I mean. It just looks like the ink reservoir, the clear plastic ink reservoir you would have like in a big ballpoint pen. It just doesn't have the pen stuff. And then what you do is you shave it on one end so you can friction fit it into the feed of the nib. And then you measure out the sack, and then you cut the breather tube to about 75-80% is what everyone agrees on for optimal performance for the breather tube. I did all those things, and there were no clogs or anything, nothing. I didn't put shellac in the feed. I'm not an idiot. It's just friction fit. There are no obstructions. I've checked everything, no obstructions. Everything was pin neat and clean. It all went back together. The problem with this is the tube goes up, it's hard. And these sacks are already quite narrow because of they're tapered sacks. And it's so hard that you have to really pull the holy hell out of the lever to get it even to compress like that far. And you have to do it like 2 or 3 times to get the bubbles to stop. And then when it's done filling, it's like 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, I think. Something along those lines. I know these have poor ink capacity, but problem is it just feels so unpleasant to use right now because when you have a pen with poor ink capacity and it's a lever filler and you constantly have to reuse the lever, and when you pull the lever you can barely pull the lever more than 50% because there's this hard object in the ink sac, you feel like you're going to break something all the time, and I don't like that. So what I'm asking you guys, because I don't know, is does anyone make anything that feels nicer to use than that breather tube? And I don't really want to buy a messed up one of these just to hope that the breather tube is in that one and not going to disintegrate immediately once I take it out of the feed, because it's just suboptimal. Because I think the ink back then, some of them were so harsh, a lot of those breather tubes aren't in the greatest of conditions. So is there any modern, newly manufactured solution or new old stock solution that anyone carries besides the Anderson option that isn't so damn hard, where it makes this feel unpleasant as all hell to use? Because it's a beautiful pen, but it's not nice to use. It's nice to write with, it feels great in hand, but every time you have to use that lever, it feels horrible, and it kind of spoils the experience of it. So that's question 1, if anyone knows, because I've done a few searches on Google and I haven't had any luck beyond the Anderson option. Second question. I'm sorry about the focus, by the way. This might focus better. I bought this at a charity auction, I want to say 2.5 years ago. And when I got it, it's a Swan gift set, it was all together. So obviously I can't start pulling grip sections out of pens and examining everything. So, and the annoying thing was, when I pulled it all apart, hold on, where's the rest of the sucker? I saw this. And that is really annoying that was like that. It must have got broke at some point. The only thing I suspect is somebody went to knock the feed out, and because the feed on this pen is at an angle, they must have used a knock that was a bit too small for the diameter of the neck of the feed, and it traveled a bit and knocked the side out, which stinks. But that's the situation. I don't think these are the correct. I don't think this is the correct grips. It doesn't say Swan on it anywhere, and the feet doesn't say Swan on it anywhere. And hold on, sorry. The nib is a Swan 3. I think it should be a Swan 2 Eternal, so I think this was messed around with, but I'm wondering if anyone has a grip section that would work on a Swan ring top, because I don't feel like going through the whole lathe option to repair this thing, because I just can't justify it. Everything else, the pressure bar, everything else is alright. It's just that. And that's highly annoying. And I know there are ways to repair that, but I'm just wondering if somebody has one, because I've tried many a time on Facebook, and I've tried on forums, and people in this hobby just never want to give anything up, because I guess they just figure they're going to find something of their own eventually that they'll need it for. So if I could get this going, or if you've seen one around online, feel free to give me a heads up. This isn't as pressing as this, though. This is highly annoying to me. I went through all the trouble to get this going, and I really, really don't like the way that breather tube feels. So, if anyone has any ideas about this breather tube, because it is hard like a rock, feel free to chime in, because I like fountain pens, but I don't know all the little honey holes you guys go to get parts. I just order parts when I see parts that are supposedly parts I need. Anyway, thank you everyone, and thanks for your help if you have any, or advice.